Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Straight Outta BS podcast. Thank you guys for the continued support. I realized that I was looking up a lot towards the camera, so hopefully this camera angle will help a little bit better. I'm trying to get it more centered, but I haven't found something that's the right height yet. I should just get like a shelf and stop being lazy, but I will get to it. I'll figure it out. And yeah, we will make this podcast even better. But thank you guys for the continued support. And I appreciate you. Thank you to the Patreon members. You're awesome. And thank you to everybody that sends me messages saying how the podcast helps them or they like being heard or whatever it is for you. It really helps to hear those things, and it motivates me to continue doing it because it's not really easy work. And yeah, with that being said, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest for the day. Go ahead and introduce yourself and where you went and what years.
Miki Rogers. I'm from Oklahoma, technically from California. I went to Casa by the Sea and the Academy at Ivy Ridge. I was at Casa for the shutdown, and my memory gets fuzzy on time, so I want to say like 2005 to 2007-ish time frame.
Okay.
Or maybe 2004 to 2006. It gets a little iffy.
Okay, understandable. Can you would you feel comfortable walking us into like a little bit of what led up to you being sent there? Did you know you were going to be sent there? Did your parents go ahead?
Yeah, zero idea I was going to be sent away. I also didn't get kidnapped, so I do consider myself super lucky. My parents didn't hire anybody to like come and drag me out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Small miracles. They lied to me and told me we were going to a family reunion, and it took me like 3 hours to realize we were driving south towards Mexico as opposed to north towards my family.
Okay.
And yeah, that was about it.
Okay.
It was camp. I was going to be gone a couple weeks. It was going to be fine.
Okay. Okay. What do you remember about when you got there? And do you do you remember them like giving you any sort of rule manual, buddying you up with anybody to show you the ropes of the place, or were you left to your own devices to figure it out? Walk us through that, like what you remember about when you first got there.
I got to Casa at the very, very tail end of it even being open.
Interesting.
So by the time I got there, they were on their best mother effing behavior. As far as programs go, I still went through the requisite like cough and drop, and we had to spend a little bit of time in their intervention. I can't remember if they called it intervention. The academy did, so I kind of like wiped verbiage. And we did have a buddy for at least a week on suicide watch, in sandals. Everything was like hardcore by the book.
Okay.
Which was still a violation of rights because I was a child who got cavity searched by a room full of males. So it was by their book.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to do everything by the rules, which is still illegal. So, that's neither here nor there.
Do you let's see. How many people were there on average? Do you remember when you got there? Like if you had to make an estimate, and how many people were there when you left? Since you're on the tail end of it, I'm curious.
Casa, the shutdown, nobody had any warning. So parents didn't have time to pull their kids at all with this one. So about the same amount of kids were there when I got there as when I left. And I think I was only at Casa for 3 months before I was shuffled to air. I want to say there were probably about 100 girls and maybe 150 guys, like a little over the amount. I think there were more dudes on the guy side than there were girls.
Okay.
There were like 3 or 4 bays of 25 of us girls. We all slept in like squad bays.
Okay. And did they load you up with prescription medication? Or first of all, do you feel comfortable talking? If you don't feel comfortable answering this question, that's fine. But were you medicated at all growing up? And when you got there, did they medicate you? Because usually they they'll either drown you in drugs, or they'll take you off of it cold turkey. So I'm curious what they.
These are fun questions. They took me off all mine cold turkey. And it was because my mother was drowning me in drugs. She had me on every medication under the sun, including putting it in my applesauce. Like, low-key, she drugged my food. Not low-key, she absolutely drugged my food. It got me into a lot of trouble because I didn't know and I drank alcohol, and that was a shit show. Don't do that. Yeah. Her fault.
But how could you have known? You know?
Yeah, I didn't know she put drugs in my applesauce. How was I supposed to know?
Yeah. Who would have suspected, right? Your own mom.
Yeah. So they pulled me off everything. And the academy, which was still a W.W.A.S.P program, did the same thing. They were pretty stingy on meds.
Okay, essentially anything that goes in your body that alters your chemistry in any way is bad, 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 bad.
Essentially. There were some girls I remember very vividly at the academy, some girls that got over-medicated. My parents were super anti-drug. So they operated on the principle that I was a drug addict, which I wasn't. I had never done drugs in my life, which is fascinating. Yeah, nope. So they operated on that principle. So I got like a clean slate detox from everything.
Okay. Did you suffer like did you have a lot of withdrawal symptoms from that? Do you have like do you have any recurring things that still go on to this day because of as a result of taking off cold turkey? Or anything that just like you had to deal with in the program?
Yeah, like for the first couple weeks I remember being really sick, and I can't honestly, like, I can't ascribe that to whether the food was different. There's lots of factors that factor in that. Taking off all your meds, being shoved into different food, like the whole bunch of stuff that goes into like that nasty like flu everybody seemed to get for the first like 3 weeks that you're there.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was just gross. Everybody got athlete's foot like immediately, so that was awful, and I still suffer horrific problems from that. It permanently damaged the nerves in my feet, and I can't actually feel anything on my feet, so I have to be really careful. When I step on glass, I won't feel it. Like, I can't feel heat burns. I have to wear like shoes all the time. It's gotten me in trouble.
Yeah.
That sucked balls, and that's from Casa because the athlete's foot was so bad they wouldn't do anything about it. I had huge perfect holes in my feet from where the fungus was eating. It was gross. It was really gross.
Okay. Do you feel I'm sorry you had to go through that, first of all, but I've heard from a lot of people that went to Casa, it being in Mexico, that they felt a sort of animosity from a lot of the staff towards the kids. Did you feel that at all?
True speak, absolutely. Yeah. There was only like maybe one dorm parent I remember being any kind of nice, and like the rest were very obviously anti-white people, and all the staff spoke Spanish.
Yeah, I was gonna
which was great. Yeah, for being totally not bilingual. Like, that's not a thing. Where I came from, little rich white girl neighborhood, my mom would have freaked the fuck out if I spoke Spanish in her house. She was racist as fuck. So trying to ask to go to the bathroom for the first like month was awesome because they wouldn't let you go if you couldn't do it in Spanish. And then they wouldn't tell you. You can't ask because you can't speak, so they won't tell you how to say it in Spanish. You just have to like listen and pray somebody asks and hope you get it. Like, it was crazy pants.
So were there people there, including yourself, if you want to answer, that if they didn't speak because they couldn't say things in Spanish, they suffered, like they couldn't eat, or would they take away your food? Would they take away a lot of things, or was it just specific things that they would take away if you couldn't say it in Spanish?
Ooh, I don't know. I never witnessed food getting taken away, but I want to preface that with, when I got there, they were on their best effing behavior.
Yeah.
Even our food was different. And I know that because I've heard a lot of the girls, not a lot, because there weren't very many of us that went to air, but all of the other girls that went to air from Casa I've spoken like about how Casa was before the shutdown. And even they were like, no, it used to be a fucking shit show. Like, it was awful. It was sparkling clean by the time I got there. Everything smelled like bleach. We got fresh food every day. Everything was warm. We had like special privileges. It was creepy. If you want to, like the difference between their best behavior and what we got at the academy was culty and cray cray.
Do you have any idea what made them get on their best behavior? Do you know anything
there
about
were a lot of child abuse allegations.
Okay.
That against W.A.S.P, and W.A.S.P was known for having a lot of schools outside of the U.S. So all of the schools that were outside of the United States essentially got targeted and then shut down. And that was everyone in Mexico, and I think there were maybe 2 or 3.
I have a theory that they actually like made the ones outside the US so they could, like, the troubled kids, right? The ones that regular programs couldn't deal with, right? They sent them there so they could be extra harsh, because when I almost got sent to Jamaica, they were like, "Oh yeah, you want to keep on fucking around? That's fine. And
Absolutely
dandy, we'll just send you outside the United. We'll just send you to Jamaica where they don't have child protection laws." And
the biggest threat we got was, ha ha ha, you could run if you want to, but imagine what happens to a little white girl on the streets of Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, oh, nice. And that Casa wasn't anything compared to Jamaica. Getting sent to high impact was our like punishment. Like, that was the threat that they used. You will get sent to Tranquility Bay if you fuck up. You will be sent there. You will be there forever. You can't leave till you're like 24.
Yeah, they told me that they would just send me there and tell my parents afterwards, because they were like, your parents already signed when they signed the contract or whatever. There's a clause in there that says we have permission to send your child out of state if they like certain shit.
Oh yeah, that's creepy and real.
Yeah,
I absolutely believe that they set up ones outside of the United States, one to cut costs.
Oh yeah, of course.
A lot of the girls that I remember being sent to, especially the out-of-state ones, were on the higher financial end. So it wasn't necessarily the girls getting sent from group homes or the ones getting in actual legal trouble with the system. They were parents that were targeted from very specific neighborhoods so that they could get more money, because, oh, we're sending them out of the United States. It's going to be like this beautiful facility. We can charge more money for it because they're outside of the United States, therefore the fees are higher and whatever. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and
they can do nastier shit. They don't have
exactly.
to follow the laws that United States would have at a hospital or a school. Mexico didn't have those laws. They actually do now.
Yeah, and in addition to that, they're opening jobs. So in the community that they open a lot of those job opportunities, even if, like, they're job opportunities, regardless of if they're good or bad, they're still opening job opportunities. So the communities that they do that in, people are probably praising them and being like, "Well, thank you for bringing, income into the," because a lot of, they choose these smaller towns, I feel like, on purpose.
Oh,
You know
absolutely.
what I mean? So they can just like have the entire town like kind of like zombies that will come at their every whim and turn in any kid that runs away and all sorts of. I think this goes really deep.
It does, because a school like this would not be able to be opened in New York City. I come from San Jose, California, so like super rich white girl area. A school like, or a program or any kind of facility like that would not be able to be breathed into existence where I come from.
Yeah, well, there's just too many people that are open-minded and think.
Yeah, like 6 months, the first allegation, the whole place would be shut down. So they specifically target small communities that need the income, need the jobs, and won't complain, and also don't have the police officers or like the legal system to complain to, because it's such a rural area. There's no one to complain to. Where are they gonna go?
Yeah, and until a larger entity becomes involved, like the FBI or one of the 3-letter agencies, you know what I mean, have become involved because of some incident or a rack up of incidences that keep on occurring, then something might be done.
Absolutely.
But usually it's on the state level. That's why they pick these smaller towns.
You won't see it in a big city like San Francisco or New York or LA. They don't exist there.
Let's see. So did you like work your program? Were you how long did, well, first of all, how long? No. Okay. How long after? Go ahead.
0%. I spent a long time in intervention in New York.
Okay. How long after you got there did it take for things to fully sink in and for you to be like, holy shit, this place is crazy?
About a month. About when I hit orientation at Casa, and I was reading through like the orientation pages, and I was like, oh, this is not a month or 2. Like, this is a long time.
Yeah.
And that was about a month. They don't do orientation. Casa didn't do orientation until you're already there for like a month and a half.
Interesting. Okay.
Probably on purpose. And then,
Oh yeah, they do that. They do that so you can't speed up your program in any way. It has to be.
Yeah.
So after you're in orientation, did you make it through any other of the other seminars, or was orientation the only one that you went through?
Orientation, discovery, and focus, but I did discovery and focus at the academy.
Okay.
And then I think I did one parent seminar.
PC1 or PC2 or PC3, one of those?
Yeah, PC1. It would have been the first one.
Okay. And you said was it about a month after you got there, or was it you had to wait a month to go to orientation? Like, how long after you got there did you go to your first seminar?
A little over a month.
A little over a month.
So
Okay.
I had to be level 2. So even though I had been there for a month, I still had to be a certain level to be able to go.
Did you start at level 2 when you got there, or did you have to work up to level 2?
I think we have to work up to it. I don't remember starting at level 2. I remember not being able to do anything and talk to no one for like the first 3 weeks at Casa. And then shit gets all crazy. Okay. Until I get to air.
Okay. How long after you got there did they give you your first phone call to your parents, or did they?
I didn't get to talk to my parents until I hit level 3 at the academy.
Okay. Okay. And what made you transition from Casa to the academy?
When Casa shut down. I was there for the shutdown.
Okay. Can you tell us what you remember about the day it shut down?
We knew something was weird because everything was real nice the evening before and in the morning. All the dorm parents, like all the adults, were all dressed significantly nicer, like in their best. They were all talking hushed in Spanish. I vaguely remember upper levels talking about an inspection and like the owner coming down, so something weird was going on. So they made us steak, and that's like the only good meal I remember having was like steak, eggs, and like beans. It was fucking amazing. And then a whole bunch of dudes with guns came in. And they were like all in black SWAT, and they had like relatively large rifles. The guy side went absolutely nuts. From what I remember, the girl side was relatively calm, but I kind of stayed to myself at that point. I remember looking at the guns and then going nope and hiding in the computer room.
Smart move, probably.
Yeah, this is like 0% of that. I've heard stories like girls tried to get like into their stuff, and like all the staff left, so eventually girls were able to like wander around. I didn't move. I just stayed in a room, and I was like, well, fuck this shit, and everybody's gonna die. That was my reaction.
Yeah, you don't. At that point, you probably don't have no idea if they're even there for you or if they're there for school. Like, you know.
And are we gonna get to go home? Like, what are we even gonna get to go back to the United States? And then a bus showed up. Dorm mom in broken English, crying, like tears, broken English, waves us all goodbye, shovels us onto a bus, and we end up at a hotel in San Diego.
Okay, so
72 hours. We were given 72 hours to leave the country, or we would have ended up on the street, is what the people that could speak English told us. You have to leave now.
Okay, so they were kind of trying. It sounds to me like they were kind of trying to push that stuff out of their country. Like, oh no, there's nothing happened here.
We didn't do it. We had no idea. Just get out. I don't know if we were told, like they were told we had 72 hours to leave by like the government who came in. Because after the fact, I remember reading that it was the Mexican government that came in and shut all of the programs down because of what was going on with W.W.A.S.P.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if it was the Mexican government or if it was some entity out of the United States.
Nope, it was definitely the Mexican government. And now no more facilities that house children that aren't like Hispanic are allowed in Mexico. Like
that we know
of. Yes, I think there's like I want to say there's at least one facility that still operates, but it would have to be hyper private.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely not under the W.A.S.P name because no one can operate under the W.A.S.P name anymore. But we know they exist. They're out there.
Yeah. Okay. And so you got on a bus, and then did you take that bus all the way? So you drove all the way from Mexico to, well, I guess that's not too far.
Ensenada to San Diego, it probably like 2 hours, 2.5.
Okay. I was thinking it was a little bit farther, but
no. No, because Ensenada's like right across the border, and then San Diego is the last town.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay. Then so you get to air. What do you remember about when you got there? Did they start you off at level 0 again, or level 0,
yeah.
level 1?
We were all separated. Every girl from Casa were separated into different families, so we couldn't speak or be with each other.
Okay.
I'm assuming so that we couldn't like talk and share stories.
Yeah.
What's really happening. And we were all back on suicide watch, like level 0. Everything was taken. It was like an immediate down drop.
Okay.
I wouldn't have been an upper level anyway, though. I'm not sure if any upper levels eventually got to like get off and like keep their shit. I have no idea. I never asked.
Okay. Did you have to do the whole strip search thing again? And like, did they buddy you up again with somebody, or did they just? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I got another buddy, somebody to walk me around for a week. She was wonderful. We're still friends. And I was not cavity searched. I was strip searched and like put back in sweats, and like everything Casa was taken and everything air was re-given.
Okay. And did they? So how many? So about 100 girls, you said, were at air, or did everybody go to air, or did some people go to other places?
Only a couple, maybe under 10 of us, maybe from Casa came to air. Other girls went to other places. Parents were given the option to pick kids up. I know a lot of children went home from Casa. I know that I was one of the few that didn't get picked up by parents. I think there was maybe 3 of us whose parents didn't come for them, and we all went to air.
Do you ever remember getting a commitment letter at either of these places from your parents saying that we expect you to graduate, and if you don't graduate, you're not coming home? Something like that?
Yeah. Phrased in lots of different ways, many different times. If you don't work the program, you won't come home. If you don't work the program, you're not going to be able to do this. If you don't do this, why aren't you focusing on school? Yeah, totally.
Okay. And how long after you got to air did you have your next seminar, like Discovery?
I have no semblance of time at air.
Okay.
And this is like, yeah, that's real funny trauma. I spent a lot of time in intervention by myself. I have no concept of time at air. I know I went to both. So Discovery was first, Focus came later, and then PC1. And after that, I stopped doing anything.
Okay. Do you happen to remember your I am statement?
I am a beautiful something magical child.
Okay.
I used magical child a long time for my password, like magical child, and then a whole bunch of numbers as like my passwords to stuff. And I like noticed maybe 5-8 years ago, and I was like, oh no, that's changing. Fuck that, nope.
Yeah. I personally feel that everybody does have a inner, like, child from your childhood, but I feel like I always have felt like, now that I'm on the outside looking in at these programs, like they're going about it the wrong way. They have some of their like the whole magical child thing, like how you have to go like into your like childhood trauma and like deal with that. That whole thing is like relevant in my opinion. But the way they go about it, the way they're doing it against our will, the way they're doing it to children, all of that, the whole thing about how they do it is all messed up.
It's super wrong.
Yeah.
Even the lifeboat technique that happened to us.
Oh yeah, that's hella wrong. Yeah.
That's it. It is super wrong to do to a child who doesn't know what's coming, but it is still a real technique in therapy. It is highly contended now because of the way that it's been used, but psychologically speaking, it serves a very good purpose in therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
When done you're choosing properly in therapy, you have to choose it. You have to understand what you are signing up for, just like any other medical process. This is what we're going to do. This is maybe how you're going to feel. These are the effects we want to achieve, not just shove an unsuspecting child into hell.
Yeah,
I don't.
and or force them to lay face down with their issues, like when they're fucking, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. They're just. Oh my God. Beating the wall with a towel duct taped while people are screaming all the ways you fucked up in your life
Yeah,
at you. Yeah. Holy shit. That's never once used in therapy. Let me tell you.
yeah. I mean,
And I am
there's
allowed to say that. Like, that is not a real technique. At no point, that serves no purpose other than to heighten the endorphins running through your body so you reach a state of fear, therefore are more malleable and susceptible to brainwashing. We do that in boot camp. I can say that. I'm a Marine. That is a very specific tactic in boot camp that is used against recruits. But guess what recruits do? We sign up for it. We fucking know.
yep,
We asked for it. Children don't ask for that.
yep. Now, however, there are ways to move around this energy in our inside of our body. I know that you can do that, but
Oh, yeah.
there's you know there's ways to do that, but the way they're going about it, no, you're not going to do it
Super
by
wrong.
beating, by screaming everything horrible in your life. But
Yeah, by
no,
calling, oh my God, I very, very distinctly remember being like called a whore and a slut, and oh, it was awful. Like, and at no point in time would that be a therapeutic process.
oh no,
Like,
definitely
that is a cult mentality behavior,
yeah,
which
yep,
sucks.
yep. Okay. Um, So, if you want to touch on intervention a little bit, and then if you just if you don't want to answer a certain question, you don't have to.
Sure.
I'm just curious. I spent 3 days in intervention one time, and I came out and I
Poor
like couldn't
thing.
stand. I couldn't stand because the sun hit my body and like
I bet.
because they keep it dark in there. What was the longest time they kept you in there?
I think I was in there for 6 months.
6 months, like
Yeah,
straight?
at some point in time, I just stopped. I stopped caring.
Okay.
Like, and I don't really know why. I vaguely remember I didn't want to get a haircut, and it was after PC1, so I think something probably happened. My parents said something shitty, and I went, "Well, fuck this shit. I'm not gonna do anything." And so, intervention is where they put me. It's great.
Okay.
Not that I
It-
didn't deserve it, because I kind of did. I was loud. I was annoying. I did it on purpose. Not gonna lie. Like,
I did that several times. My first year at the board at Spring Creek, I rebelled and I was like, "Well, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." And
yep.
then fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And then self-correct, fuck you, I won't do what you tell
Do what
me.
you tell me.
Yeah. So how would they feed you in there? Like, would you still get the same amount of food every day? Like what did they like deprive you of certain things that
Absolutely. It was water. I got 3 meals a day, but it was the bare minimum and subpar the bare minimum. It's like what you would feed a sick person: soup and crackers and water. I think maybe in the morning a couple times I might have gotten juice if I was being really nice that week, but usually not. Like, I remember a lot of chicken soup, a lot of oatmeal, and like a lot of really crappy sandwiches. It was definitely not the same food that you could get. It was punishment food, you know. It's like, you want to be a shit, be your shit.
yeah.
Essentially,
Yeah. Did you see or hear about any runners when you were at either of these places?
a couple times they tried to keep it really on the down low. I don't recall any girls ever trying it, but we heard multiple times about dudes trying
Okay.
to get out and away. And then I was also there for the riot itself, and I know multiple people tried to run during that.
Okay. What can you walk us through what you remember about the riot?
I don't even know how it started. I think the boys' side decided to go nerds, and a whole bunch of guys tried to like get out. And when the boys' side goes nerds, of course, girls have to also go nerds.
Yeah.
Like, you know, whatever. Like, people go nerds. I did the same exact thing as I did at Casa, and I went, nope, fuck that shit. Because rebel all I want to, but I don't want to die like that.
Yeah.
You know, I have a reasonable fear for my life. I remember one girl grabbing a blonde staff member and slamming her head into the wall multiple times. So I know it absolutely got violent. Um, They shuffled us all into the bus, immediately got as many of us back to the dorms as humanly possible. Shit got destroyed. Like, it got nasty. Authorities were called. I heard that one of the boys that tried to get away got shot. Like, people ended up in the hospital. Like, it was insanity. There was, like, arrests from some of the dudes, but pro you dudes, fight the power.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm pro on you for getting out. Like, if you could make it out of that building, I'm proud of you. Like,
Yeah.
We love you.
This was in Arizona, you said?
No, the academy is in New York, Ogdensburg, New York.
Okay. Okay. Was it just a smaller part of New York?
Yep, Ogdensburg is like way up north of Syracuse, like an hour outside of Syracuse.
Okay.
Real
Is it
tiny.
more?
You could look across the river, see Canada, which
Okay.
was real nasty because you could be like, I could swim, but you can't swim across that river. You die. You'd freeze in the middle of it, and then you'd fucking die. So that's just another way you can't escape. It's just look at freedom.
Yeah.
Canada. We'd be safe in Canada.
Do you remember them giving you a phone call with, or yeah, you said the first time you talked to your parents was at PC1, correct?
No, the first time I got a phone call with my parents was when I hit level 3. PC1 was the first time I got to see them. We got monitored phone calls at the academy once a month, I want to say, when we hit level 3. And I only hit level 3 once before PC1, and then after that, everything was just trash.
Okay. And how long were you at Air?
If I was only at Casa for 3 months, I would have been at Air for about 15.
Okay. And what happened to where you ended up leaving Air?
My parents pulled me as soon as they found out the academy no longer had school accreditation. I wouldn't get credits.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, I forgot to ask you about that. At Casa by the Sea, was there any schooling? Since they had you speak in Spanish, I'm very curious about.
It was all on the computer. And Spanish was the only elective. So both Casa and the academy had the same exact school system. It was a Mormon-based, God rules everything and invented math, science in the world school system. And for one of the first computerized school systems I've ever used, and I've used quite a few now that I was a Marine and I've done a whole bunch of shit, it was amazing. Like, as far as they had like all the tests solid, like it was gold, like everything, but everything was God-based and like super Mormon and very like, this is all you can learn. They gave you no options, but like every choice was picked. All the tests were like graded accurately. They put a lot of thought into how that computer program worked. They did good. Like, brainwashing at its finest.
So you didn't go ahead.
Brainwashing at its finest.
Yeah.
What it was.
So none of your credits transferred then?
Most of mine did. My parents pulled me as soon as the academy lost it. So I only ended up losing about 6 months of school. When the academy lost its accreditation, it only really back affected credits by a couple months because they couldn't wipe every like teacher and like they couldn't wipe everything that we had ever done from, because that would fuck over a bajillion. They could only go back a couple months and be like, no, from this point on, you lost your accreditation. Now you have to like refile or whatever.
Yeah.
And as soon as my parents heard that, like it was immediate. They said, nope, we want her. I was only there so that I could graduate high school.
Yeah. Okay. If you could, what was the hardest part about being there at both of these places, and how did you deal with it when you were there?
For me, I think the hardest part was being treated like a non-human. And I coped by retreating into myself and dissociating. Okay. So I developed a lot of deeply personal inner voices. Yeah, that was a hard question. That was fantastic.
Okay.
I kind of made friends, but I don't remember very many of them. I can maybe do faces and like feelings, how I kind of like felt when I look at that person's face. But even that, like I barely remember names. So I know that I didn't really talk to a lot of people. I didn't really bond at all. I kind of just went, fuck it. I read a lot. I think I read like more than half of the entire library at the academy. And eventually they stopped giving me books in intervention because that was like the only thing I would do. Eventually my parents were like, no, she can't do Spanish or science or English at school anymore. She has to do math and like history because she's ignoring all like it was insane that I would only like do school and read, and I stopped doing everything else because that's how I coped.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved reading too. I loved going to the library.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember working kitchen? Did they ever have you work kitchen?
I never got there. Nope.
Okay.
We did. It was a chore, but I never got there.
Okay. Did you ever hear about or witness any staff like physically abusing or sexually abusing any of the kids or any students doing that to each other or anything like that? Was there any like thing that was inappropriate going on in either of these places?
Staff members to me and multiple other students, yes. Different staff members. Me personally, they were only ever female. I never got touched by a male staff member, let alone spoken to by one, really. But the female staff members were not great. So there's that. I heard horror stories about male staff members and dudes and like upper level girls because they would have gotten more contact with them, but I never would have. Intervention was awful, and Miss Sissy was a nasty, disgusting, fat bitch who touched all of us inappropriately. So fuck that one. Hope she dies.
Okay. And what about grooming? Like, did you witness any, like, because the only reason I'm asking is because I hear about a lot of people where the staff will like groom some of the girls or groom some of the guys. And then I've also heard that some people actually end up leaving with some of these staff after the program.
Absolutely. I know that happened, especially with the upper level girls.
Okay.
But it would only start happening when you hit level 4 to 6. So level 1 through 3, not at all. Like we never saw the male staff members. If grooming happened when you were on the upper level, you were like a really high level 3. I never would have spoken to any staff member outside the dorm mom, but the upper level girls, oh, absolutely. Like as soon as they hit that level, they could go out and all of the staff members and or the owners, horror stories, just like awful shit.
Okay.
It reached that. Small miracles.
Okay. If you could go back in a time machine and not go through these places, would you do it and why, knowing what you know now?
My whole body said no. I think I would go back and I would go through it as many times as humanly possible so that no child ever had to. Okay. I would do it over and over and over again so that no one else ever had to again. And that would be fine.
Okay. What have you struggled with the most since you got out of the program? Like, what do you struggle with the most as a result of what happened to you when you were there?
Probably like all of my symptoms of PTSD. Anxiety, and my anxiety takes so many different forms. It's really hard to say, but I am a horrible shut-in. I like rarely leave my house, which is deeply different than my personality pre-program. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the CPTSD is the worst. Like trauma and I don't dream. Oh, there's so many. Like we could talk about that for like hours. It has affected my life in so many ways. Ew.
Yeah. Okay. So the anxiety is just really big for you. Do you have a problem relating to people, or just like, did you have a problem like feeling? I felt like an outcast a lot when I first got out of the program. I just felt like people could never understand what I went through.
That didn't change. Like, I have PPD, and so, and while I did not get diagnosed with BPD until I was about 28, so it's been like 6 years. I highly suspect I've had it for forever. So like I felt very different pre-program. That was definitely one of the things that my parents sent me away because I never quite felt right. Anyway, it did get worse. Yep. The people pleasing just got awful. Like that's horrific. I became a drug addict. That didn't help. Like, all like negative coping skills. Like 3 years clean of narcotics, so that's good.
Okay. What did you what was your drug of choice? Just curious.
A lot of Vicodin, so much Vicodin, all the Vicodin. I just want to go to the Happy Rainbow place. Not anymore, because that place isn't real. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. Okay. What made you get clean?
Probably my kids.
Okay.
Honestly, probably my kids.
Okay.
Certainly not me in the moment, but I knew for them that I had to be some sort of better mom. Now it's definitely for me. I know that I stay clean for me because it's good for my body and I like to be sound of mind, but in the beginning it was definitely just for them. And anything that you need to hold on to, it could be your fucking cat for all I give a shit. Anything that you need.
Yep. Love my cat. And let's see. Do you still have have you talked to your parents about like how this place affected you? Do you feel like you could ever forgive your parents? I've forgiven my parents, but I'll never forget what they did to me and how it affected me.
Yep, I would say the same. We definitely don't have a great relationship. I understand why they did what they did. My parents are super rich white people, and I was the like little adopted mixed race baby who was too adopted from like the poor family. So I was like the token baby already. So the fact that I was like a fuck up was just a given. Like, I was set up for total fucking failure. So we don't have a great relationship anyway, and we probably wouldn't have had a great relationship even if they didn't do this. The only reason why I understand this happened is because of the direct educational targeting, like that they got. Like my parents were absolutely like part of the parental group that got groomed because of how rich they were, because of like the situation that we were in.
Okay.
So forgive, but we aren't the best because they won't get it. We're so sorry that happened to you. We didn't know that would happen. Yep. Totes.
Yeah. Is it your opinion that these remaining schools could or even or should or even could be fully regulated, or is it your belief that they should all just be shut down?
I don't think any program that that takes a child's autonomy should exist. There are tons of programs not like what we got sent to, and I mean actual recovery programs and therapy programs that are live-in, that do work, that are 3 to 6 months maybe, but it's the child's choice and they work. I believe in those. They're fantastic. It's the ones that take all the children's autonomy, and those cannot exist. I don't think they can be regulated. I don't think there's any system outside of the justice system that can be regulated that forces a child into housing outside of their community, because community is best. Community healing is always best.
Definitely. Definitely. All right. Well, is there anything else you want people to know about your experience, or anything that you might tell a parent thinking about sending their kid to a place like this?
Oh, don't do it. Oh my God, there's so many better options. There's so many better options in your community. There are so many different programs within your community that you could go to the library. If you don't have your own computer, I'd be like, you go to a library and freely use Google, or ask somebody to help you Google community-based therapy programs. And there's so many alternatives to something this awful that has no benefit and only pain. There's no proven benefit to this kind of program, only trauma. So, don't do it.
All right.
As a parent myself of a troubled child who has gotten in so much trouble, I can't even, and I think it's my fault, I don't do it. There's nothing in the world that he could do. Nothing in the world that he could do. And he's done like my child is 12 years old and he pulled a pair of scissors on another child last year because that child called him a fag. Do I like that word? Absolutely not. Is it okay to pull scissors on people? Hell no. No, that is not okay. absolutely excessive use of force. He should have gotten expelled. He was very lucky that he didn't get expelled. I would never, there's nothing in the world he could do. We get him therapy. We get him into a program that works in the home, that helps him heal at home. There are options. Don't do it.
Yep. Totally agree. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you. If you ever want to do a part 2, just let me know and we will make it happen. And I appreciate you and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Awesome. You too. Thanks so much.
Yep. And to anybody that's continued to watch this far, please make sure you like the video, share it, and we will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.